Hey everyone! So just a bit ago, we heard from Nathan Harvey about what the Dora research is showing. AI is improving individual effectiveness, but teams are still struggling with delivery stability and increased friction. I'm Jeremy Castile, VP of Developer Research at GitKraken, and I'm excited to walk you through some of the frameworks we built to help you actually measure what AI is doing within your organization. Over the last year, I've spent a lot of time talking with engineering leaders who are trying to figure all of this out. And the common thread is everyone knows AI is changing things, but nobody's quite sure if it's helping out or if it's hurting. You've got developers who swear by it, and you've got your VP asking if the spend is worth it. And you're probably somewhere in the middle, trying to figure out what's actually true. So we put together a report, we worked with GitClear, we analyzed 211 million lines of code, we talked to hundreds of teams, all of that to build frameworks you can actually use. It's not just theory, but it's practical stuff you can actually implement. And what we found was interesting. There's a gap between how productive developers feel and what's actually happening in the code base. We saw things like code duplication increasing tenfold since 2022. First-time refactoring dropped below duplication rates. Think about that for a second. Developers feel more productive than ever, and yet code is getting more duplicated, not more consolidated. That's a problem. That gap, that's what we need to measure. Because if you can't measure it, you're just guessing, and nobody wants to be guessing with this stuff. I'm going to walk you through the frameworks we built. Think of this as the playbook version of the research. All right, let's jump into the first framework. What to actually measure. Most teams I talk to are tracking something. Maybe it's license utilization, or it could be a survey asking developers how they feel about AI. That's a start, but it doesn't tell you if it's working. It's like measuring software quality by asking developers if they think they wrote good code. Yes, it is data, but is it really useful? To get the complete picture, you need 4 measurement layers, and they build on each other. Layer 1, direct AI usage. This is the foundation. Just knowing what's happening. How many developers are using AI tools? What's the acceptance rate? Are they hitting tab on every suggestion or being selective? How much code is AI generated versus human written? Are developers actively prompting AI or just passively accepting? This is purely descriptive. It doesn't tell you good or bad, it just tells you what's real. And by the way, until recently, you couldn't really measure this. The tools didn't expose the data. Now with the APIs from tools like Copilot and Cursor, you can actually see this stuff. That starts to unlock tremendous value. Layer 2 is code health indicators. Now you're looking at impact on the code base itself. Refactoring ratio. Are people consolidating code or duplicating it? Code churn. How much gets rewritten within a couple of weeks? Duplication frequency. Are developers still touching legacy code or just adding new stuff? Here's why this matters. In the research, we found 79% of code changes now touch code that's less than a month old. That's up from 70% in 2020. Now, that could mean you're iterating fast, or it could mean you're fixing mistakes, but you need to know which one. And here's the thing, this is where you start seeing the actual impact. A developer might feel super productive because they used an AI assistant to write 500 lines of code in a day. That's great. But if 200 of those lines are duplicate blocks that'll need to be maintained separately going forward, are you actually more productive? Or did you just take on future tech debt? Layer 3, developer experience. This is your early warning system. How much time are developers spending understanding code versus writing it? Do they feel confident without AI? Is code review getting better or worse? Are people actually learning or just good at accepting suggestions? When these things start going sideways, you're usually a few months away from seeing it show up in your delivery metrics. So it's a leading indicator. I talked to one engineering manager a few months ago who said something that stuck with me. My developers are flying through tickets, but they can't explain how their code works. That's a developer experience problem that's going to become a velocity problem really fast when they need to debug or extend that code. You can just feel it coming. Later today, I'll be talking quite a bit more about how to really measure developer experience, so be sure to catch that session. Okay, layer 4, business outcomes. This is the stuff leadership cares about. Are you shipping faster? Is quality going up or down? Is delivery predictable? Are developers staying or are they leaving? The key is these 4 layers work together. High AI usage by itself means nothing. High AI usage with declining code health? That's a problem. High AI usage with better velocity and stable quality? That's what you want. Think of it like a car dashboard. You wouldn't just look at the speedometer and ignore the fuel gauge and the engine temperature. You need all the gauges to understand if the car is actually performing well or if you're about to blow the engine. It's the same deal here. Okay, so you're measuring these 4 layers. Now what? How do you actually use the data? We identified 4 ways teams are applying this measurement. Think of these as use cases, different questions you're trying to answer. Use case 1 is longitudinal tracking. This is the before and after view. Establish baselines before AI adoption, then track how things change over time. Did lead time actually decrease? Are we maintaining code quality? How has team satisfaction changed? You're comparing pre-AI to during AI to post-AI adoption phases. This gives you the clearest picture of net impact. The benefit here is you're not guessing. You're not relying on sentiment. You can say, here's what's changed, here's what's stayed the same. That's powerful when someone asks you to justify the spend. Okay, use case 2 is diagnostic deep dives. This is when something feels off or you just need to dive in deeper and you need to understand why. You start looking at both the direct and inferred AI metrics to find those friction points. Are high performers using AI differently? Which workflows are seeing the most benefit? Where is AI creating unexpected overhead? One team we worked with noticed their cycle time went up after AI adoption. That's not what you might expect, right? So we did a diagnostic deep dive. It turned out it wasn't the coding, it was the code review. More code volume meant more review time, and they hadn't adjusted their processes. Once they knew that, they could fix it. They added some automated checks, adjusted their review guidelines for AI-generated code, and their problem was solved. But without the measurement, they would have just blamed AI and maybe even rolled it back. Instead, they optimized the process, and it was a way better outcome. Use case 3, internal benchmarking. This is cohort analysis. Compare AI adoption and outcomes across your different teams. Which teams are getting the most value? What separates success from struggle? How do greenfield projects compare to legacy work? You're looking for patterns within your organization. Maybe Team A is crushing it at 40% AI usage, and Team B is struggling at 60%. Why? And what can you learn? And here's what's interesting. Often the answer isn't use less AI or use more AI. It's about how they're using it. Team A might be using AI for tests and boilerplate, but still doing architecture and complex logic themselves. Team B might be accepting every suggestion. It's the same tool, but completely different results. Internal benchmarking lets you find high performers and scale what's working. It's like, why guess when you can just look at what your best teams are doing? And use case 4 is vendor bake-offs. If you're evaluating different tools, Cursor versus Copilot versus Windsurf, you need consistent metrics. Which tool gives you the best ROI? How do vendor claims compare to reality? Where should you invest? The key here is using the same measurement framework across tools, so you're actually comparing apples to apples. And here's why this matters. For something like GitKraken Insights specifically, most AI vendors report metrics differently. GitHub Copilot gives you one set of numbers, Cursor gives you different numbers, and you can't compare them. It's like trying to compare fuel efficiency when one car measures in miles per gallon, another measures in kilometers per liter, and they won't tell you which unit they're using. Good luck with that, right? So GitKraken Insights provides a neutral third-party standard. We measure direct and inferred AI impact from actual code behavior, not just vendor reported usage stats. So you can actually compare tools fairly and make informed decisions. All right, the last piece. You've got the data, you understand the patterns. Now you need to communicate it. And honestly, this is where a lot of engineering leaders get stuck. Different stakeholders care about different things. Your CTO cares about different metrics than your CFO. So you need to translate. For engineering leadership, VPs, CTOs, they want to understand the technical trade-offs. Lead with delivery metrics, but connect them to code health. Something like, we've cut cycle time by 40%, but we're seeing a 20% uptick in rework on AI-heavy features. Here's the plan. We're going to tighten up our review process for AI-generated code. We're going to add some automated quality gates, and we're going to track it over the next quarter. You see what you did there? You led with the win, acknowledged the risk, and showed you have a plan. That's what engineering leaders want to hear. They can handle the complexity. For product leadership, they care about capacity and predictability. Optimized AI usage is giving us about 30% more feature throughput. Developers are spending way less time on boilerplate, so they've got more time for complex problem solving. The investment, we need about 15% of sprint capacity dedicated to code health, or we'll pay for it in technical debt later. Product leaders think in terms of features and capacity. Give them that, but also give them the honest trade-off. They can handle it. What they can't handle is being surprised 6 months from now when everything slows down because of tech debt. Nobody wants that conversation. For finance and executives, they want ROI and risk management. You could say, AI tools cost us $40 per developer per month, but we're measuring roughly $2,000 per developer monthly in productivity gains through faster delivery. There's also quality risk, but here's how we're managing it with better testing and review processes. Executives think in dollars and risk. Give it to them that way. And notice, you're not hiding the risk. You're showing you're managing it. That builds trust. The pattern, everyone needs to understand what's working, what's at risk, and what you're doing about both. Just translate it to their language. And update them regularly, monthly if you can, quarterly at minimum. It's not a set it and forget it thing. AI impact evolves as tools improve and your team learns how to use them better. Think of it like OKRs. You check in regularly, you adjust based on what you're learning. It's the same concept here. All right, in closing, let's talk about the bottom line. The teams that are going to win with AI aren't the ones with the highest adoption rates. They're the ones with the clearest understanding of impact. They're measuring, they're learning, they're optimizing. That's it. If you want to dig into this more, we put together a comprehensive guide. All the frameworks we just talked about, plus detailed playbooks, metric definitions, implementation steps. It's called Quantifying the Impact of AI. It's free. You can grab it at this URL or use the QR code. And if you want to see this in action with your own team's data, if you want the measurement infrastructure without having to build all of this yourself, that's what we built GitKraken Insights to do. It automatically tracks AI usage, correlates it with your velocity and quality metrics, does the cohort analysis, all of it. You can try it free at gitkraken.com/insights. Your next steps this week, audit your current AI usage and establish some baselines. This month, Start tracking patterns. And this quarter, develop your point of view on what optimal AI usage looks like for your team. The opportunity here is real. You just need to measure it to capture it. Okay, that's it for this session. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope it was helpful for you. Please do go download the report and check out GitKraken Insights. Thanks for tuning in and hope to see you next time.